Hello, my name's Jana Horak. I'm Head of Mineralogy and Petrology here at the museum. I'd like to welcome you to Cymru, National Museum Wales, Cardiff. Unfortunately, we're closed at the moment, but we'd like to take the opportunity to show you around our meteorite gallery. Meteorites are rocks from space. They come from three places. Comets, which are very rare to have cometary meteorites, from the asteroid belt between Jupiter and Mars, and 99% of meteorites we have on Earth come from there, and also from other planetary bodies. Some 65,000 meteorites have been classified and named, and these can be split into four broad categories. Firstly, we have the primitive meteorites. These are made of the material that formed early and crystallized early in the formation of the solar system. They've been little mollified, they haven't been melted, and they provide a lot of evidence for that early history. If these material like this was heated by radioactive isotopes and melted, it's separated into the different chemical constituents, and we ended up with different types of meteorites. Iron meteorites made dominantly of iron and nickel, stony iron made of some silicate minerals and iron and nickel, and the achondrites, which are very much like the igneous rocks we have on Earth that form and crystallize from magma. This is an example of an iron meteorite. It comes from Namibia in southwest Africa. This specimen weighs about 260 kilograms, but the entire material that fell is thought to be about 26 tons. It's also thought to have fallen about 300,000 years ago, and the local Namib people would have used the iron as a free source of metal. It has a dark outer coating and the sculpted surface. This is formed as the meteor material fell through the atmosphere and was heated by friction and softened and was scooped out. It has a very dark outer coating because of this fusion layer, but in places you can see it's actually been rubbed bare by the visitors to the museum. This specimen here is a slice from the inside of a Gibbon meteorite. It looks very different. It's beautiful, shiny, metallic appearance and this interesting texture. The texture is only visible because we have etched it with acid. The little lamellae are made up of two different minerals, one rich in nickel and one not so rich in nickel, and the one rich in nickel etches more, allowing us to see the structure. Now, these lamellae are quite important because they form by recrystallization of the original iron and nickel mineral, and the width of the lamellae is based on the amount of iron in the meteorite and the rate of cooling. And obviously the rate of cooling gives an indication of the size of asteroid that the specimen came from. This second meteorite is from Oriel in Argentina, and it was found in 1951. Although it didn't fall then, it was found when a well was dug. But it's probably the most beautiful of all the meteorites. It's a mixture of greenish olivine crystals, that's an iron magnesium silicate, and some people might know that better as the gemstone peridot, set in a ground mass of iron and nickel, similar to the other specimen. When it first fell, it would have been beautiful green crystals, but with oxygen and water on the Earth's surface, it has slowly oxidized the iron in the mineral, causing it going slightly brownish, but it's still very beautiful. These sorts of meteorites are called pallasites, and they're thought to have originated from the boundary between the iron core and the more silicate rocks on the mantle layer, the next layer out. However, there are some suggestions now that this might not be the right interpretation. The age of the meteorites that we've been looking at from the asteroid belt is around 4,560 million years old. In contrast, the oldest rock dated on Earth is this sample of a cast gneiss from Northwest Territories, Canada, and that's been dated at around 4,000 million years, a full 500 million years after the meteorites formed. If we come to Britain, then the oldest rock is this piece of Leuad gneiss from northwest Scotland, and there's evidence for that to have formed around 3,300 million years ago. It's the oldest rock in the UK, but also in Western Europe. The oldest rock in Wales is this dolerite from Stanahantha on the Welsh borderland. Dolerite is similar to the moon rock, but this is just 710 million years old, a mere baby.
Hello there, I'm Andrew, and I'm here in the Evolution of Wales gallery with Jana, and I'm going to show you some more specimens. What we have here is a rock from the moon. It's on loan to us from NASA in America, and it was collected on the 19th of November 1969 by astronauts Charles Conrad and Alan Bean during the Apollo 12 mission. This was the second crewed mission to ever land astronauts on the moon. This rock here is a dolerite, which is an igneous rock that is formed when magma crystallizes, and it was formed around 3.5 to 3 billion years ago when the moon was still volcanically active. When scientists looked at the rocks brought back from the moon, they found that the ratios of certain variants of elements called isotopes were found to be exactly the same as the same rocks on Earth. Therefore, they must have had a very similar origin. So looking at lunar rocks has provided evidence that the moon was actually created where about 4.5 billion years ago, when the Earth collided with a body in space about the size of Mars, and the moon actually crystallized from the debris as a result of all that impact. This is Meteor Crater in Arizona. You might be familiar with it. It's probably one of the best, it's probably one of the most well preserved, and it was one of the first proven impact craters. It was formed around 50,000 years ago when a meteorite, an iron meteorite about 50 meters across, smashed into the Earth, and it created a crater about 1 mile wide. You get lots of fragments of meteorites, smaller meteorites like this one here, found around the crater, and they're named after a nearby canyon, and they're called Canyon Diablo meteorites. This crater is also known as Barringer Crater. It was named after geologist Daniel Barringer, who was one of the first to actually make the link between this impact structure and a meteorite impact. Before that, many people thought it was the result of volcanic activity or even the result of a big gas explosion. Barringer bought this crater because he was convinced that the main mass of the meteorite would be buried deep within the crater, and he set up a mining company to mine it. Unfortunately, he never found the meteorite because the high energy of the impact when the meteorite hit the ground would have vaporized the meteorite. But his family still do own Meteor Crater to this day, and they run it as a tourist attraction.